Hello everyone. The crinkling noise you're hearing is Tallulah. She's running around at my feet right now. I wanted to do a video on Samhain. It seems like every autumn, right before Samhain, I have a whole series of videos planned that I want to do, and time escapes me and I don't get to them. Today is actually the 30th. Tonight is my Noreen McDonald's and my final Psychics, Mediums, and Spirits night of the year. And we chose this night because it is the night before Samhain and the veil is very thin, and it's a really wonderful time to connect with other realms, connect with yourself, and really hear your inner voice. So I'm very excited about that tonight. I'm really feeling amped up with all the energy. But unfortunately, I did not get to make as many videos as I had planned to for this autumn. So I will have to record them in a different way so that I can actually get them done for you all. But I did want to do a small video just talking about Samhain energy and some of my favorite decks to use this autumn. And some of them won't surprise you. Some of them may be decks that you don't have and that you feel drawn to purchase after watching this. So for those of us who do observe the Wheel of the Year, Samhain is a very powerful point on the wheel itself. And it's really an encouragement for us to go within, for us to allow whatever it is that needs to die. So that means that we have to really spend time examining what our beliefs on death are and what death feels like and looks like for us. And I think a large part of our spirituality for a lot of us in the pagan community, especially if we identify as witches, is tracking our beliefs on death and our beliefs on darkness and shadow. Really understanding how we actually feel about that, the idea of that, of endings and beginnings, and then shifting into a space of being able to honor that energy and not come from a space of fear regarding the ending of cycles and exactly what is involved in the process of death and things dying. And through this process, especially with this Sabbat, I think we begin to really understand that death does not just involve the physical body. Instead, there are deaths that occur constantly in every moment, and it's about understanding that at a new level every Samhain, and honoring that at a deeper level every Samhain. For me, anyhow, in my journey, what is it that I need to let die? What skin do I need to shed? What needs to be let go of? And so that is a large part of my practice in honoring the Wheel of the Year and in honoring the Sabbath. So that is really a large part of my journey right now. It is understanding and honoring the ending of cycles and how we can work with them in ways that are empowering and impactful for ourselves and for others. I always find at this time of year, first of all, I'm incredibly linked in to my spirituality and to my abilities, if you want to call it that, to my intuition. It's like everything reaches a new level of awareness. Every year I have a new level of awareness with it. And I think we all experience that this time of year. So that is something to journal about, to meditate with if you don't feel that you're experiencing that. Really taking a step back and seeing how oftentimes it's in ways that we don't recognize unless we're paying attention and we're aware of our experiences. But I always feel intensely creative this time of year, very driven, and yet at the same time feel a deep call from my body, from my energy to take a step back and start looking within. So this is always a time of year when I'm doing lots of journal work, when I just need to be outside, which is a witchy thing to say, right? But it's true. This time of year, especially for me, I really, really need to be outside. And my day job slows down a little bit this time of year. I'm only working 3 to 4 days a week right now, so I can feel it. Things start to slow, and there's just a bit of juiciness that comes into that, and a beauty for myself with that. Being able to find some time for myself, which is really powerful and really impacts the work within, the shadow work that occurs this time of year for me very naturally. So the decks that I use this time of year are really drawn to that. They have a very fluid feeling of cycles, and they're always very much about looking within, exploring within, and really stepping into that inward energy of facing your own demons by honoring and loving those demons. And that's really important to me, and that's very key to the Samhain experience for me. So I always am watching lots of horror movies and listening to angry guy metal music, and very, you know, like I have to dress in costume pretty much every day in the autumn season, especially around Samhain. And so all of those things are ways that I honor this Sabbat and step into the energy of this Sabbat. And this really is crone energy for us, and this is we're stepping into our new year, so this is really about the death, and it's crone energy, and it's very, very powerful. And it's something that I feel quite poetic about, if you haven't picked up on that yet. But it's a very ethereal yet earthy energy that you feel this time of year. So it's very powerful for me, and I live in New England, and so the autumn is just so glorious in its final breaths before the death that is November, when everything becomes very gray and bleak, and you can feel the hibernation of the earth itself happening. So it's a very powerful time to be with nature herself. And I encourage you to get outside if you haven't been able to, or if you live in a very urban place, make time, carve time out for yourself to get to a park or to go drive out to the countryside and just spend some time just feeling the cycle that occurs within nature herself. It's very, very powerful. And as I said, this is a time when the veil thins. Now, whether you feel that the veil thins because we believe that it thins this time of year, or it actually does thin this time of year, is immaterial, because what you believe is so. So for me, this is a time when the veil is very thin, and it's a very powerful time to communicate with other realms, not just those who have passed, but other energies from other realms that come forward to really speak with us, and that walk with us in a lot of ways. So the first two decks I want to talk about, I work with a lot this time of year, because this is a very archetypal time of year for me, and it's a very mythological time of year. And I really love this idea of walking with a god or a goddess, or an archetype, or an archetype, for a day or two, and really stepping into the flow of that energy and what that feels like to put on the skin of another energy and how that impacts your experience. So the Gods and Titans and the Goddesses and Sirens decks, and I use these two together. Avalon Cameron has a great video about combining decks, and I do that with these. However, I do have the newer version of the Gods and Titans deck, which includes Odin, because he is core for me. When I work with the Sacred Masculine, I work with Odin, and he was not in the original Gods and Titans deck. So now I'm going to do a separate review on this, because the newer version doesn't just include Odin, but there are lots of differences in this deck. So I actually have all three of the decks together. But I work with these cards a lot because it's just beautiful to step into the energy of these archetypes and mythological beings through the cards. And so that is a really fun and powerful way that I enjoy stepping into that energy. So I work with these decks on my altar, and I draw, do daily draws with them. I'll walk around with the card in my purse or my bag or my journal, and just slip that skin on and see what that feels like for me. And it's very powerful. This is the image of Odin in the new version. This is the backing in the new version. I'm going to talk about this in another video for those of you who are considering repurchasing the Gods and Titans. And this is from the Goddesses and Sirens deck. So these two decks are very powerful. I highly recommend you purchase them together, especially if you're working on healing either the feminine or the masculine, or both within yourself, integrating them. This is a very powerful deck. But this time of year, these are decks that I like to work with together. And I use these decks a lot. I use them, I always use these two decks when I'm setting up a personal altar for the client that I'm working with, when I'm doing a healing session. And Noreen and I just had a letting go of the past retreat, and I used this deck both days on the altar, and it was extremely powerful. So I have a lot of love for these two decks, and I don't really use them for divination. It's more for stepping into a god or a goddess and honoring that energy and bringing that energy in through the use of altar space, and also the act of carrying the card with me. So these two decks are very powerful around Samhain for me. The Book of Shadows Tarot is one that I almost exclusively use around this time of year now. And this is the card for Samhain, which is the moon, in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. I love this image. I think it's beautifully sums up the spirit of the Sabbat itself and how I like to spend the Sabbat on a personal level. And it's a card that hangs out on my altar this time of year, and just, it's just so beautiful, isn't it? I mean, you know, this is a card to journal with, really, at a very deep level. Some new decks that I've been using for this Samhain season. The Wooden Tarot. Oh, guys, I will do a review as soon as I have time to. Powerful tarot deck. Really powerful. And the use of the animal symbolism in this deck for this time of year is just gorgeous. There's a happy squirrel card. And I'm waiting for my Chicoli Tarot, which is coming tomorrow on Halloween. I'm so excited. So I'm waiting to work with that deck, and I will cleanse and anoint that deck and consecrate it, whatever you want to call it, that deck on Samhain itself. But leading up to this Sabbath, I have found that the Wooden Tarot has been right on, very powerful, very personal. Very personal. I have not used this deck with clients yet, so I've really been enjoying that. The Chrysalis Tarot, this is a relatively new deck that everyone was talking about. I have not used this one as much as the other decks I'm talking about, but I have found that this really has a very beautiful autumn energy to it. And the artist, Holly Sierra, she's amazing. We carry her card line where I work, and so I've actually had the wonderful chance to kind of speak with her through email, and her artwork is just gorgeous and very pagan feeling, and so this deck is a wonderful deck with an autumnal feel to it, and you can really, just the colors, all of it, very lovely. I will do a review soon, but this is a deck I have been using for this Samhain season as well, coming up to Samhain. Another deck that I really love, this deck is a keeper for me. I grow to love this deck more every year. Is the Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore with artwork by Ali Fell. The colors in this deck are more what I think of when I think of the Sabbath of Samhain than, say, the Chrysalis Tarot. The Chrysalis Tarot is more like early autumn to me. There is a richness and a darkness, a velvetiness to this deck that I really love, and I find that this time of year the power of it really speaks to me, and it's one that I just like to, even, like, this is a deck that I'll just pull off the altar or whatever if I'm carrying it on me at work. You know, I'll just take it out when I need a moment to ground and just shuffle the cards. You know, and this is a deck that likes to read with lots of people for me, so this deck goes to a lot of readings. But just the act of shuffling it, it is like a velvet deck. Like, I just feels good. It's very relaxing for me. So I am really enjoying this deck around this time of year. It's very powerful and beautiful. It's quite moody in a really great way. I mean, this is the time of year to be moody, right? And so I like the moodiness of it. I like the darkness of the colors in a way that the Dark Angels deck, the Dark Angels Tarot deck, that's more winter energy to me. It's very melancholy, it's very somber, it's very withdrawn, whereas the Steampunk Tarot, it's a little more aware of its own of Cups energy, right? Like it gets that that's the energy it's in, and it's very aware of it, and wants to interact with you about that experience. So I love that about the Steampunk Tarot, and I really enjoy using it this time of year because of that. The other tarot deck that I have to say, guys, I am just really smitten with is the Tarot of the Dream Enchantress. I've been using this a lot this time of year. It's probably the most used, other than my top two. Wow, the imagery is just, it's sexy, it's potent, it's intuitive, it's very feminine, and it's actually feels very crone to me. It's not mother, excuse me, or maiden. It's actually quite crone in its sexuality and its intuitiveness, in the colors, in the artistic nudity that shows up in the deck. It's just very, again, moody, but this is more in a dream way than the Steampunk Tarot. This is more about accessing the symbols and the signs and the colors and the images, interacting with them at a very intuitive level. So it's very much like a work deck for me. It's very psychic, and I'm always like wanting to amp it up with this deck and go to the next level, go to the next level. So the Tarot of the Dream Enchantress, I mean, it's low Scarabeo. I didn't think I would love this deck as much as I do. I really, really love it. So these two decks are going to come as no surprise to you, but I'm finding, with the first deck I want to talk about, that I'm interacting with her in a new way this autumn. Usually when I'm peeling back the layers, prior to maybe becoming a mom for me, peeling back the layers felt very vulnerable. Like it brought with it a vulnerability, which it does. It does in its own way, doesn't it? But this year with the Isis Oracle, I'm finding a sense of deep empowerment in peeling back those layers. And some of the experiences that I've been having in my personal life around this time of year, this year, have really been, boy, peeling back the layers, bringing me down to the bare bone of my being and my beliefs about myself and my experience. And I've found that the Isis Oracle has, instead of me just feeling the vulnerability of that experience, the Isis Oracle is showing me a new way of empowerment, a new level of empowerment through being brought down to the bone, cutting away the flesh, cutting away the skin. What's at the core? What is core? And the Isis Oracle is helping me to feel really, really empowered with that at a very, at a new level. And you all know that this deck is in my top 5 of all times, Oracle or Tarot. Isis is a goddess that I work with at a very personal level. So this deck is near and dear to my heart, but there's a new level with this deck for me this year, and it really is about this Sabbat, which in previous years, while I used the Isis Oracle a lot, you know, I wouldn't necessarily have been drawn to immediately work with this deck in that way. But I'm in the middle of my personal month deck challenge, which I do quite a bit, and I will have some videos on that for those of you who like those little diary videos. I've been working with this deck this week, and actually I've been working with this deck since the retreat. I needed a deck to bring that was just for me at night to set a clear boundary as far as, okay, I've been a healer all day and now I'm just going to be me, and what do I need to know? And I brought the Isis Oracle deck along for that so that I could disconnect, unplug, just be me for a little while at night. And I brought this deck with me, and I had a new level of, again, empowerment, awareness, growth for myself with this deck, and I haven't stopped using it since then. So I've even cheated a little bit on my monthly deck challenge and used this deck anyhow. So I've really gotten to a new level of love with this deck. Just very, very powerful. And like I said, the empowerment coming from the peeling back of the layers and the cutting down to the bone. What is core? What is core? and, oh, I already showed that one, sorry guys, stepping into the empowerment that comes from just looking at what it is that matters, what needs to shift, and who I am. So the Isis Oracle is the deck that I have worked with the most this season, and it has been deeply powerful, deeply loving experience with her. One that really sums up what Samhain is actually about for me. Even though I love all the kitschiness of Halloween, and I love exploring that for Samhain too, this deck is helping Samhain to go to a new level for me, a very, very powerful one in its vulnerability. So the Isis Oracle is one that I would really highly recommend you pull out and work with right now, and see if you can have a new level of experience with Isis herself, and see how that feels for you. Okay, the other deck is the Tarot of Vampires. You guys know that this is my favorite tarot deck of all time. This is my beloved. This is the deck that will always walk with me. So this had to be in the list, and it is one that is perfect for Samhain. It's perfect for Halloween. If you don't celebrate Samhain, this deck will work with you for Halloween just as well, just as powerfully, just as beautifully, whether you are celebrating Samhain and Halloween or one or the other. Oh, I love this deck. I'm kind of at the point with this deck where I don't even need to say any words. It's just perfect. It is my beloved. Everything about this deck really works well with this time of year in a very powerful way. And it is a wonderful deck for its atmosphere, for its moodiness, for its vampire, bloodletting, blood-sucking energy. But again, empowerment comes to mind with this deck, and also fear. What are our fears? And again, tracking them, getting curious about them, honoring them, looking them in the face, not running away from them anymore. So this deck is, oh my goodness, wow. So good for this type of work. I think you'll find for a lot of readers, especially a lot of YouTube readers, this is a deck that most people use for shadow work. If you are requesting a shadow reading, or you want to explore shadow work and what that means for you with another reader, most people will offer this deck as part of that reading. So this is a very powerful deck for shadow work, and intrinsically a part of the energy of Samhain itself. So it's a wonderful deck to work with this time of year. And you might find that you purchase this deck and this is the only time of year that you work with this deck. And I truly feel you will have a meaningful relationship even if that's the only time of year you use it. Seasonal decks serve a very powerful purpose, and they deserve honor for that as well. You know, decks don't always need to be used constantly to be of great value for our spiritual paths. If you have a reading with me, I will use the Tarot of Vampires deck any darn time I want to. Even if you didn't ask me for a shadow reading, I will gladly use this deck and offer you insights on that for a reading anyhow. I love this deck and I use it all the time. It's my most used deck for myself and for others. And I find that there are powerful realizations that come up with the Tarot of Vampires deck. It is now going into its second printing, and so it's very hard to find a new copy of this deck. And in fact, I've been talking with a few of you because you've said to me, oh my god, I'm trying to get the Tarot of Vampires deck because I watched your video. I can't find it. It's like $150 used on Amazon. You know, you get that panicky feeling. And I understand because I have 2 copies of this deck. They're both showing age, and I would like to get another copy, and I'm waiting as well. So I will be posting a little video when the distributors have the deck available once again. I have the great privilege of being able to order all of our tarot and oracle decks that Made on Earth. And so we work with a wonderful distributing company, great people there, and they know that I would like to be notified immediately as soon as Tarot of Vampires becomes available again. But it's exciting that it's going into its second printing. It's a very powerful deck, and I think for anyone who is a collector of tarot decks, it is a wonderful deck to have in your collection. Whether you're only going to use it seasonally, just for shadow work, or if you're a hardcore Tarot of Vampires lover and you use it nearly daily like I do. So as you can see, I am riding the high wave of energy that comes before I do an evening of psychic readings. And I'm riding the energy of Samhain herself. I love this time of year, and this is such a powerful time of year for us to focus on ourselves and our own journey. So if you're watching this tonight, the night before Samhain, I really encourage you to get your journal out, to sit down and give yourself some time for contemplation, for awareness of yourself, your fears, what needs to die in your life so that you can be reborn in a new and very powerful way. This is a wonderful, wonderful time to do this type of work. The cycle of the earth herself is encouraging you to step into that. And if you ignore that, you can feel yourself pushing against the tide with it. At least I can, very much so. You know, being too busy, I can feel, when I step into that space, I can feel the push and pull with this time of year for me energetically. When I don't honor the need to ground and to go to the earth and take time away, I can feel that in a very powerful way this time of year. So the earth is a very great element to interact with right now. And I think all of the elements are just at their most beautiful this time of year anyhow. So explore the elements right now for this Sabbat as well. Maybe that's your ritual for this Sabbat, connecting with the elements at a deeper level, or one element at a deeper level. And any of the decks we've talked about today can help you to step into that. I really encourage you to work with the Isis Oracle in a new way as well if you have that deck or are interested in purchasing it. Alana Fairchild has some amazingly incredible decks. Wow, I'm just blown away. I'm blown away by the Sacred Rebels Oracle. I cannot even, like, wow. Once I have some time to sit down and do some more videos, I will be talking about that deck a little bit with you guys. So powerful. Just, wow, opened so many doors for me at a new level for my own spiritual path. So I really, really love her decks. And she, for me, she's caught the essence of Isis. She's captured it in the way that I see Isis. So it's a deck that is deeply personal for me as well. So I am sending you all many, many blessings this Samhain. Remember to honor yourself and your journey right now. Take time to stop and look at the journey. Allow yourself to be loved by yourself, not needing it from anyone else right now. But allow yourself to love yourself. And allow that to be really powerful. And allow yourself to feel full with that love. In a way that maybe you haven't stepped into for yourself before. Perhaps you feel that it must come from someone else in order to be that filling. But allow this to be a time of year where who you are and what you are is enough for you. And allow yourself to really have a love affair with your own energy and your own being in a new way. So, much love to you all. Many blessings. I am so hyped up, as you can all see. I'm just, whoo, I am plugged in and riding the wave right now. And this time of year is just deeply magical. So, do some journal work, do some card work tonight, get your decks out, have fun, and allow it to bring a deeper awareness for yourself of you and your own journey and where you want it to take you and where it is taking you and where you are going. I will see you all in the next video. Much love, many blessings. Bye.